Hey guys, what's up? So in today's video, we're going to be talking about something a little bit different, I guess you could say, but it's something that I wanted to establish a commentary on, just because when I was playing through Pokemon Sword and Shield, this is something that I continued to notice throughout my experience, and the more I played, the more I continued to notice it, to the point where I was like, okay, this is a thing, this is happening, and I kind of just want to talk about it. And that thing in particular would be the quote-unquote sound type. The sound type is something that obviously is not an official Pokemon type, but it has been talked about a lot by fans as something that could be a potential type in the future, and there are a lot of things currently within the Pokemon universe that would support a sound type as well. And the reason why we're talking about this today is because Pokemon Sword and Shield introduced so many things that just warrant the sound type existing, not only to the point where it could have very easily been introduced in these games specifically, and it's kind of odd that it wasn't, but also it's kind of pushed that argument over the edge, if you will, to the point where we have really got to stop just beating around the bush and introduce the sound type as an actual type, because at this point it's kind of being represented more than actual official Pokemon types. So that is what we're going to be talking about today, why Pokemon Sword and Shield proves that the sound type eventually needs to happen. And weirdly enough, Pokemon Sword and Shield basically introduced the sound type without introducing the sound type, because they did everything that you would do in this type of situation where you were bringing a brand new type into the franchise. And what I mean by that is that there are so many key things within Pokemon Sword and Shield that are a huge part of the game that feature the would-be sound type. Essentially, if you were to introduce a brand new type into the Pokemon franchise, you would obviously want to market that, and Pokemon Sword and Shield does everything that you would do to market a new sound type within its game without even actually having a sound type. It's kind of ridiculous. Going down the line, we first off have the evil team of the games, Team Yell. Their name is literally Team Yell, and their in effect leader, the gym leader Piers, is a rock star who could have very easily been a sound type gym leader because of his persona. Yet another key element from Pokemon Sword and Shield that also features the, quote, sound type are the starter Pokemon, specifically the Grookey line. Basically, the entire Grookey line from Grookey to Rillaboom all have a very audio, music-based thing going on with their designs, and Rillaboom specifically could have very easily been part sound type, which is the kind of thing that you would do once again if you were marketing a brand new type by giving it to one of the starter Pokemon. And Rillaboom even has his own new signature move called Drum Beating, which once again could have very easily been the sound type. And speaking of Pokemon, there are also a number of other Pokemon who could have easily been the sound type as well. Pokemon like Obstagoon and Toxtricity, for instance. Obstagoon is a Pokemon literally based on Gene Simmons the Rockstar, and Toxtricity is kind of just your stereotypical punk rocker type of character. So not only could both of these Pokemon have easily been sound type, but they are also very important Pokemon within the marketing scope of Pokemon Sword and Shield, which only helps to boost the argument as to why the sound type could have been introduced in these games, and why it becomes more and more strange the more you think about it as to why it wasn't. For instance, Obstagoon was obviously a Pokemon that was revealed in the trailers for Pokemon Sword and Shield, introducing the concept of not only regional evolutions, but old Pokemon getting new evolutions, which is obviously a very important element to what Sword and Shield offers. And once again, what better way to market a new type in Pokemon than not only give it to one of the key Pokemon that you're using for marketing, but also give it to an evolution of an old, already established Pokemon. It just kind of makes all the sense in the world, and this is the kind of thing I'm talking about when I say that we've kind of been pushed over the edge with the sound type support. Even moving on to Toxtricity, like I said, not only is it the perfect candidate for the sound type, even though I absolutely love its Poison Electric typing, but it even got its own signature ability called Punk Rock, which obviously, even though abilities aren't typed, could be the perfect quote-unquote sound type ability for sound type Pokemon. And adding on to that, Toxtricity also seems to be a very important Pokemon within Sword and Shield specifically. It seems to be one of the premier Pokemon of this generation, kind of like the Lucarios and the Zoroarks of the world. Because not only does it have a Gigantamax form, which isn't even available yet, it also has 2 forms itself, and seems to be very tied into the whole lore and mythos of the Galar region as well, almost as much as the legendaries themselves. So for as important of a Pokemon as Toxtricity is to the Galar region, and seemingly to the promotion of these games in this generation in general, it once again is all the more fitting that it would be the perfect candidate for a hypothetical sound type. But I am not done yet, because even Pokemon Sword and Shield's premier new mechanic, Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing, also features a sound-based presence, because if we look at Gigantamax Lapras, this Pokemon is literally inspired by sound and music. The icy aura that surrounds its body in its Gigantamax form is a musical notation with little ice crystals representing musical notes. And this element is outright confirmed by Gigantamax Lapras's exclusive G-Max move, G-Max Resonance, as in sound resonance. And Lapras isn't even remotely a sound-based Pokemon, it's a water-ice type. So to give this Pokemon some sound representation in its Gigantamax form that it really has no business having, really just adds to the mystery of what is going on here. And when you bring this all together, it's really the reason why I wanted to talk about this in a video in the first place, because everything from a sound-based starter Pokemon to a sound-based Gigantamax form to even a more or less sound-based evil team, this game just has everything it needs in all of the right places to have featured and introduced and marketed a brand new sound type. And the fact that it didn't really raises a couple of very interesting questions. My first thought as I was beginning to realize all of this is that I haven't even really been a big proponent of the sound type happening in general, and even now I am convinced that it needs to happen at some point if you're really just gonna throw all of this sound-based stuff at us. I know that not everything needs to be a Pokemon type, but like I said in the beginning of the video, the sound element, if you will, now really has more representation than some actual Pokemon types that actually exist. So I think with all of the new stuff that they added in Sword and Shield that could support the sound type, in addition to all of the stuff we already had, I just feel like it's getting kind of ridiculous at this point that we don't have it, and it just needs to happen at some point now that we have all of this stuff. Finally though, this thought brought about a counter-argument in my mind. If Pokemon Sword and Shield, with all it introduced, was the perfect place to introduce a new sound type, and they didn't, what other game would you introduce a sound type in? What other situation would be more perfect to introduce a sound type than Pokemon Sword and Shield? And does the lack of a sound type here mean that we will basically never get one? Because if we were gonna get one, now would be the time to do it, clearly. It's kind of a catch-22 type of situation, but all in all, the point I wanted to bring about with this video is that personally, in my opinion, it is time to introduce a sound type. Overall, I think it's going to be interesting over the next generation or two what we might see, because I think a sound type being introduced is a very strong consideration that the folks at Game Freak might even consider themselves, outside of it just being a fan idea. What do you guys think though? Do you think that with all of the sound representation in Pokemon Sword and Shield that it's weird that we didn't get a type, or do you think it's not feasible enough to be a type at all? Let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comments below, and like I said, I know this is kind of a different topic, but it was interesting enough that I thought I would go ahead and discuss it with you guys. If you liked the video as well, be sure to give it a like and subscribe if you're new for more Pokemon content all the time. With all that being said though, I'll be back with another video on on Tuesday, although it's probably going to be a new remix that I'm going to post, because I do remixes for those that don't know, as opposed to a standard video, because Tuesday is Christmas Eve and I kind of want to take the holiday to spend with my family, so it's possible I might do that. I'm not 100%, but I'm feeling like that's what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to come back with a regular video on Thursday, and the schedule will continue normal from there. Hopefully that is okay with you guys. The remix is a Pokemon Sword and Shield remix, so I'm really excited for you guys to hear it either way. But with all that being said, I'll see you guys very soon, and until the next one, as always, I will smell you guys later.